Hello, welcome. This week it's Cruella, a movie that is actually the only movie I own the movie poster for. But it's also the wrong poster because there are two posters. The first one is where it's like just Cruella's face. It's like all black and white. And there's the other one which is like a full body one that is just not as good as the first one, but it was the only one they had available. So I took it. We'll get to that later though. But I like this movie probably a lot more than I feel like I should, but it is just a blast from start to finish. What I wrote a lot in my notes was that this movie starts at 11 in terms of just going hard, and then it just keeps going 1 1 1 1 1 1 until it's at like 20 or more by the end, where it's just we've ramped this thing up to just a million, and we're just going so extra, but in the best way possible. And I think that's really why I enjoy it so much, is that it is just it never lets off the gas, and it always just keeps like one upping itself in terms of like the events, the story, the just like how over the top bad or just like extravagant the characters are. But I also think that if either Emma Stone or Emma Thompson let up on like just being as much as they are, this movie would not work as well as it does, because the two of them are just fully committed and refuse to even remotely step off the gas to like break the silhouette a little bit. And I'm really glad they don't, because this movie is just so much fun, and aesthetically it is just always on point. Like, I don't think there's a single bad outfit in this movie. I don't really understand fashion at all. I'm just looking at these outfits and I'm like, that is an image. That is a thing that someone is wearing, but I don't really like understand why. Because I've never actually like seen people wear like 90% of the things that are like shown in this beyond like as a fashion statement. So I don't know if that's like just how it is. Like they just make the clothes and then it's like a display basically, and then it gets locked away somewhere, or if it's like this is just the stuff for the elite of society that I have yet in my life to have really any interaction with. So it's like, well, I guess that's fine. But man, the outfits look pretty cool. Corella's especially, like she just is always at 100, and they're just always like, yes, these are just sick outfits. But I also really like black and white as an aesthetic, so I feel like I was kind of predisposed to liking it. But I think also like the statements on top of the clothes really just kind of nail the hammer in. It's like, yes, this is just so good. The actual plot of this movie really is nothing special. The beginning is just it's so odd, but Corella's narration for it makes it better and just like more fun. Because like her mom dying or not, that whole thing is kind of that's the scene like went viral for a while because it is just so bad. It's just not a great scene, but it's also just kind of funny how just bad it is. But it also is fully in line with the Baroness. It's just she's just pure evil, greed, like wicked. There is not a redeemable trait in that woman, and that's why she works so well. Because she's just an awful human being the whole time. Like, there's a scene near the end where she, like, one of the guards has a taser, and she, like, gets in and starts using it. And she's like, wow, why don't I have, like, one of that? And that was, like, the one instance where I was like, I don't believe that the Baroness has not resorted to physical violence, or that she does not know what a taser is, unless it's just new technology for this time. Because she fully would have a taser and would be tasing people like she does in that scene where she just like bzz, 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 and just like takes out like 4 people just because she can. But the Baroness is just so good. She's just so evil, but it just works so well because she never stops being that bad. Like we're not supposed to like her. We're not supposed to like feel any sort of sympathy for her. She's just a horrible person who only cares about herself, and that's fine. That's why she works. I think she also works better once Cruella kind of like steps into the picture, because it's just like a fight at that point. And then it's just Cruella keeps going one more, one more, one more, and just keeps getting her, getting her, getting her. And it's just, it's like, what the hell? Because you're just seeing a villain kind of get put in their place, and you're like, yes, yes, go off, Cruella, go off. It's just so much fun, and I love this movie so much. Probably a lot more than I should. Is what I feel like, but I feel like I also went into this movie when I saw it in theaters with zero expectations, because I was like, most of these like villain origin story movies are just kind of not great or like middling at best. And I think I just wasn't expecting something to be fun. I was like, this is probably just gonna be kind of weird and bad. But I just had so much fun with this, and I just think about it a lot. I wouldn't have gotten a poster for it if I didn't. My one biggest complaint with it, really, is just that there are so many needle drops. I think that's the term, where it's just like a popular song starts playing. Like, I am not the person who is going to make, at least at this moment, the like how many of them there are per minute in the movie, but I feel like it's way higher than it should be, because it's just like half the score is just like an insert song, where I'm like, did you really need that there? What did that really add? And the answer like half the time is like, not really a whole lot. But I think what makes it worse is that the score for this is like actually like really good. Like, I like it a lot. And when it's used really well. It's just half the time it's not, in favor of like a hit song that I'm like, that doesn't really work as well as it probably could. But I think some of my like the score is that I worked at a movie theater when this came out. So I would be cleaning and I hear like the credits, so you hear a bunch of like songs from the film and you kind of get used to it. And I don't know if that's just like copium to like it, but I like genuinely do like a lot of the songs. The one of note is Call Me Cruella, the like end credit song before post credit scene. I would like go into theaters a little early just so I could like listen to that song, because I was like, this song just goes so hard and it's so good. And I wish it wasn't like 2.5 minutes long, because it's so short, but it's just so good. I miss those days. Those were good days. But alas, that's how it be. My next note was really that the end of this movie is just, it's just so wild. Like, really my biggest point for like the entirety of Cruella is that it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It just keeps escalating. And I think that's what like keeps me enjoyed so long, is that it never lets me like stop. Because it's like, well, we found out Cruella is like has beef with the Baroness because she is the necklace. And you're like, okay, Cruella's pissed. And then you're like, oh, Cruella actually killed her mom. She's even more pissed. You're like, oh, Cruella's actually her mom. And it's like, now she's going sicko mode on this woman. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's, I think, why it works so well, because it's just so, like I said, it's so just like extravagant and fun, because we're just constantly watching this thing get crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier until it's like the Baroness has probably killed many people. Because there's a line where she's like, or at least when Cruella's like, oh, you killed my mom, and the Baroness is like, you have to be more specific. It's like that meme, and it's like, oh, you killed this, and it's like, do you have any idea what that narrows it down, or whatever that meme is? It's like, this woman has killed people multiple times. She has at least one real murder and one attempted, because she killed Cruella's mom just fully in cold blood, and then tried to kill her own daughter also fully in cold blood, and feels no remorse about that. And it's like, wow, This woman is there is no good in her. This woman will kill. She will kill again. It also makes you wonder if like any other time that like a competitor like fashion label has come out that she has just murdered them. Like the reason she's at the top is that she has just murdered all the competition, which is kind of scary to think about, but also completely on brand for the Baroness because she's just not a good person. I think she would be a serial killer if she was not focusing on being a fashion designer person who really just steals other people's ideas and takes them as her own. But her like getting arrested at the end, spoilers, I'm spoiling all these things, like that's just kinda how it be. I don't really know how she didn't notice that other people were around when she literally attempts to kill Estella or Cruella. It doesn't really matter. They're the same person. Like, did she not hear like the cop car pulling up, the like crowd murmuring, or was she just so intent on killing that she just tuned out the rest of the world? Because even like under normal circumstances, there could just be someone outside the party who's like, "Oh, you just murdered someone. That's kind of not cool." But instead, she does it in front of the entire party. It's like, wow, she will kill again, and now she's in jail. And it's like, wow. It's just kind of impressive. Like I don't have words for how bad she is. It's just like impressive that she's just that. There is not a heart in that woman. And it's just like, wow, this woman is insane. But she does always look pretty evil. But she does have some good fits, as does everyone. But the Baroness is just a woman. What a woman. What a bunch of women in this movie. But there are other characters. I think Horace and Jasper are just kind of fun. Like it's cute that they like care about her like legitimately, or at least Jasper does. Where it's like he legitimately does care about like Cruella's well-being, but she also treats them like crap a lot, and they kind of are just like going along with it. Like by the end, it's like this seems like there's some like mutual like understanding, but it's like yeah, she kind of is just an awful person to them for like half this movie, and they're like fine, I guess we'll do it, and then they stop and they're like, well, actually the Baroness is my mother, so that sucks. And they're like, okay, sorry, we're family, so you gotta help each other. I mean, they're still thieves, like they're still doing crimes, but like at least they're not like heartless. Like they're probably like besides Cruella's like emotional core, they're kind of like the only other real like heart in the movie. But they're fun. They're not really like the deepest people, but they're a good time. Artie, we love him, or we don't really know. I don't really care. They're just kind of sick. It's just a fit, and I don't really. I just wish they were in it more, because honestly, it's like aesthetically on point. Used enough, not enough. Even though they're behind like every outfit, so I guess they are. But it's just like man, every character in here is like, for me at least, enjoyment wise, is good. The Baroness is not good. She is evil. Cruella is also probably pretty evil. You can make the argument because they did. It seemed like they kind of retconned that she did like use the dogs, because I thought I haven't seen 101 Dalmatians in a hot minute, but I thought she like was with skinning the dogs, the Dalmatians, to like use them. But it seems like this movie was trying to retcon that to be like that was not true. Unless she does in the sequel, which I don't think they will. Like, I think Cruella being like, yeah, I didn't actually skin those dogs, and we know she didn't because we can literally see the dogs, is Disney, like, explaining away, like, yeah, she did not do that. Because that's not family friendly. Because they could do it in the sequel, which I'll get to in, like, 5 seconds, but I don't think they're gonna retcon that. But the sequel, I just don't like. What is a sequel gonna be about besides just like her rise to power as like a fashion icon, which I think could be fun, but I don't really know how you're gonna do that. Because I think why this works so well as like a film is you have Cruella and the Baroness who are duking it out. Like there's two sides to this fight, but it's like who is the other side now? Like where are we going here? And to me it feels like the post credit scene is kind of like the we're tying this into 101 Dalmatians, I think, instead of just like opening up for a sequel. Like I'll take it because I had fun with this, and I think I'll probably find some way to have fun with the second one. But I'm just like, why is there a second one being made? And obviously the answer is money. It's just Disney we're talking about. They just want more money. But there's always the part of me that's like, but why? Because they're doing like a Lion King prequel for the live action one, and it's like, why? And it's like, oh, cause money. Cause the first one made, or the first live action one made a butt ton of money. So they're like, well, let's just make another one and make more money. And I'm just like, man, that's Disney for you. Gotta get that money. Gotta get that bread. Even though they have so much of it. Just, Disney makes me annoyed. A lot. Let's see. Another note that I had was that the ending of this movie is the one good needle drop, which I think is just probably copium from working it so much and being there when it happened, so that I just was forced to like it. Which is really just like a common theme, I think, for a bunch of movies, is that I worked, like, we'd have to clean the movie theaters after they were done, so I would hear a lot of the credits music, and I think I just, like, had to force myself to like it, or at least be able to, like, vibe to it, so that I just didn't hate cleaning those movies so often. But I also do, like, legitimately like the music from this movie. And I just don't know if that's a good needle drop in actuality. There are worse ones, though. Because to me, like, a needle drop should, like, fit really well. Like, if you're using it, use it intentionally. And I mean, they obviously are in Cruella. It's just, like, not the best usage of it, in my opinion. So I think of, like, Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's, like, if there is one, it's usually relevant, and, like, the biggest ones you remember are, like, they're there for a reason, and they, like, hook up to the scene. Or I think, like, any Edgar Wright movie where they use it, is a lot of them is, like, how he uses sound is just very good, and uses, like, eel drops as it fits with, like, the atmosphere of the scene, and is, like, at least in Baby Driver, it's, like, a part of the scene, which is probably the best case scenario. I don't think, like, we're going to do that. But there are a lot of, like, the needle drops in here where I'm just like, what is this adding? Besides just, like, a song that is relevant to the atmosphere or the actions of the scene, but doesn't really, like, fit the vibe a whole lot. So I guess that's my opinion. I don't think they'll get rid of it, but it's also Disney money. They could have had this entire movie be needle drops, and there's nothing I can do to stop that in reality. That's just going to happen if it does. My other point was with the fits, the outfits. The one where she puts, like, the future on her face, that is the best one. I will not take questions on that, even though it is simple. I just really like that aesthetically. They're all good. The trash one is pretty good. The past one, where it's like they, like, lock her in the car, is a good statement. It's just kind of an awkward, weird one. The rest are all, like, just good. Like, they're like, yeah, that's sick. I wish she did more of, like, the future one, because I just think that's such a cool look. It's just so cool, which is really just all of them. They all make statements, and I'm like, hell yeah, that is a cool statement. And I am excited for the second one if we get more of those, because I just think they could go so hard. And this is like the one Oscar where it's like costume design where I'm like, I feel like this should take it because I can't think of anything that has as many of just like top tier just outfits. Like I won't be upset if it doesn't go to that, but I feel like to me it's like the obvious pick. But it also is like I feel like it's kind of cheating if it's like a fashion movie. But I also feel like it's still a lot of costume design that is good and I would recommend. I don't know if you like wear any of that. Again, that's kind of like I kind of buy it because I don't know anything about fashion. Aside from that, they just kind of like toss all their extra like cloth and stuff, and it's just like in landfills. But like it looks cool, and that's all I can really say. Other small note: the one girl's name is Anita Darling, which is just like why? Like that's just kind of dumb. But like go off, I guess. Let's see. This is a weird me thing, which is probably like most people are not a fan of. Is I like characters that just simply don't have a name. Because like in Tenet, it's like the protagonist. In this, it's the Baroness. And like, yes, I would probably prefer if they had an actual name, but there's something just like so powerful that you just are like your name in the context of the film is just the Baroness. Like you have that much like power and status that like your name is not relevant. You are just a like embodiment of status and power. It's different in Tenet because I don't really know why they did in Tenet, but the protagonist is it's a very cheesy name, but I like it, and that's just me. But you know, I feel like that's a I don't know if that's a hot take. I feel like that's just a take. My other take is that CGI dogs are not good, and I really wish we would just not use them as much. But that's gonna be the future, whether you like it or not. Because I think you can still like kind of tell when it's a CGI dog, and you're like, yeah, that's not a real dog. But it's also like it's probably a lot cheaper and a lot easier to like not have the I don't know what the animal control group is that like monitors that so you don't like harm the animals. But it's still like it's like yeah, that's a CGI dog. I know it is. Like if you can do a real dog, do a real dog for as much as you can. But like just try to keep the CGI dogs to a minimum because I just don't like that. I just wish you would use like real. It's like with like deep fake stuff. It's like just cast someone else. Like I don't need Mark Hamill playing a deep fake version of himself or like an aged down version. It's like there are other people that can do that, but that's not gonna happen. I'm just shouting at air, hoping that something will happen when nothing's going to happen. Yeah, that's really a lot of my takes. Is I think that's about it. This movie just goes so hard and never lets off the gas, and that makes it so good. I don't know if it's my favorite movie of 2021, but it's like top 5 at least. It's just I had a blast with this movie and I was really looking forward to watching it and I still had a blast with it. The sequel, I don't know if I'll have a blast with it, but I'm kind of just going in with that it's probably going to be pretty mediocre because it's like what can we do? Where do we go from here? As long as it just keeps hamming it up and there's some good fits, I'll probably be fine. But this movie I will defend as being a good movie until the day I die. Or until I stop liking it, which I don't think will be anytime soon. So you should all watch it and make your own opinion because I imagine this will be a divisive movie for people. But I like it, and that's what matters to me.